Hi, my name is Stacy Fletcher, and over the next 6 weeks, we are going to learn how to coach yourself towards any desired result that you have. Anything that you want to accomplish that you aren't currently accomplishing. I'm going to teach you the tools to coach yourself in how to get there. Mostly, we're going to be focusing on the mental tools to manage your brain and to really understand where you're at and how to get to where you want to go. So we are going to go through this process. We're going to take a look at where you are now, and then we're going to take a look at where you want to be. And then we're going to figure out all of the things in the middle to move to get from where you are now to where you want to be. So we're going to start by looking at where you are now. First, by looking at your current thoughts about where you are now, but specifically about the goal that you want to get to. We're going to take a look at all of the things going on in your brain. It's this really incredible thing that we can do as humans where we can observe our own thoughts. We can begin to tune in to see what we're thinking. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day, and those thoughts drive our feelings and our actions and the results that we're getting. But often we have no idea what's going on in there. And so the first step is just to begin to observe and understand what's going on in your thoughts. And so we'll do what we call a thought download. A thought download is you literally just take all the things going on in your head and you download them onto a piece of paper. You literally just write them all out. And so we're going to spend some time just examining your current thinking about getting to your desired goal. Then we're going to take some time to separate out and figure out what are your thoughts and what are the actual facts. You see, we spend a lot of time telling ourselves stories about the facts. We think that we're telling ourselves the facts of a situation, but the reality is we very rarely know the thoughts, feelings, or intentions of another person. In fact, honestly, we never know it because even if they tell us, we have no idea if what they're telling us is true. But we tell ourselves that we know she was angry at me. He was upset. This happened, and I know that this is how they were feeling. And we interpret it to mean a lot about ourselves and we or a lot about the other person. But most often we have no idea. They're just the thoughts that we're having. Even if you look at a circumstance or a thing that happens in the world, different people will have very different versions of how they experienced it and what they think is happening. And so the first most important part is to separate out what are your thoughts and what are the actual circumstances or facts of the situation. Here is why it's so important, because your thoughts are something that you can change. Your thoughts are something that you think, and you can think new things. You get to choose the story that you're telling yourself, and you get to choose to tell yourself a story that will serve you more effectively in getting to your desired outcome instead of to the story that you're telling yourself about the search situation. But in order to begin to do that, you have to first realize that they're just your thoughts. They're not facts. They're not unchangeable situations. They're things that you can change because you can see which are your thoughts and which are the actual facts. So the facts are something that are neutral, that everybody would agree upon. We don't see them as positive or negative, and everyone would agree upon them. We really want to take out the emotion from any sort of circumstance statement and put in just the fact of the situation. So after we do that, we're going to take one circumstance and then one thought. We'll have lots of thoughts about that circumstance, but we're just going to take one thought and we're going to take a look at how that thought is playing out in our lives. Really begin to understand that thought. And the way that we do this is we determine what feeling is that thought driving in your body. And when you have that feeling, what actions do you take and what actions don't you take? When you do those actions, then what is the result for you? Here's one of the things that happens the most. We think that we feel things that we do things and that we have the results in our life because of the circumstance, because of the fact. And we want to change the circumstance in order to get a different result. But the reality is, it's our thoughts that are driving this. And here's how we know. Different people would have different thoughts around the exact same circumstance. So one person may think doing a layout step out on beam is really scary. Another person might think doing a layout step out on beam is really fun. And so those different thoughts would drive different feelings around the exact same circumstance, a layout step out on beam. And that feeling of fear or excitement would drive different actions, maybe balking at the skill, maybe not being willing to move it up to the high beam, maybe continuing to try to take it out of your routine when you're scared, maybe going for it but not going fully for it. When you're excited, it changes all of that, and it gives you a different result. So the first thing that we're going to do is try to understand where you are now towards this desired outcome that you want, and then where you want to be is coming up next. After we have a good understanding of where you are now, then we're going to take a look at where you want to be. What is the specific result that you want? What do you have to do to get that result? What do you need to feel to do those things? And what would you need to keep believing to feel that way? We're going to answer all of these questions and put them into a new model. We call this the model. And so we're going to go, what's the result, the specific result that you want? What are the actions you would need to take and not take to get that result? How would you need to feel to drive those actions? And what thought would you need to keep believing to feel that way? And then once we have a good understanding of the model of how you would think when you get where you are, then we come back to this. We take a look at where you are now, we take a look at where you want to be, and then we're going to take a look at how to get there. So we'll do a little bit more work on the first week about our obstacles and strategies for getting to where we want. And then the next weeks will really come in to look at how to feel your feelings and process them so that you aren't afraid to feel any feeling. How to take massive action, continuing to take action until you get the result that you want. And how to believe a new thought, how to move from your old thought into a new thought. And we'll really get deep into those things so that by the end of it, you'll have a really great understanding of how to coach yourself through your thinking on a regular basis, moment by moment, so that you get the result that you want. Then the last part of this first week, we'll look at the obstacles, all of the obstacles to get where you want to get to, and then all of the strategies we're going to use to overcome those obstacles. Most of those strategies will be things around things that you need to do in your head, and then the actions that you need to take out as a result of that. So in recap, over the next 6 weeks, we're going to take a look at where you are. We're going to take a look at where you are now. We're going to take a look at where you want to be. We're going to look at all the obstacles and strategies for getting there. And then I'm also going to teach you a little more in detail about this model idea and the practical tool that it really can be on a regular basis to help you in the process.